Let's face it, we spend millions, probably billions of dollars on illegal children, mostly born in this country. And a lot of people are saying, listen, it's worth the investment to send them and their families back to Mexico and other places. But the question is, would it look something like a modern day version of the Trail of Tears? Joining me now is Fox News' Geraldo Rivera. I saw a tweet you had earlier, and that's what triggered me thinking, a lot of historians are going to say you gathered up all the Indians, 16,000 of them, you put them on this harsh journey, and 25% of them died on the process. You talked about the images of going out, snatching these kids, taking these families, and sending them back. You don't think the average American really understands what we're talking about?
Well, I think that if the average American recalls the Elian Gonzalez forced deportation, he was going to be reunited with his dad, but still it was terrifying. He had armed federal agents. I mean, we know the guys involved. Good people, but law enforcement, armored, helmets, taking a kid screaming out of the closet where his uncle is clutching him. Now multiply that by a couple of million times, Charles. I mean, what is that? I mean, it is so un-American. It is absolutely so inhumane and unnecessary. I can't believe that someone as charming and as compassionate and as considerate as Donald Trump would be promulgating a notion of a country, the United States, that would do something like that to a child who is a citizen of the United States. It is bizarre. It is indefensible, and it goes beyond politics.
What about we say this, but there are a whole lot of, research is being done, polls are being taken, and it's surprising how many Americans are saying we need to take control of our country, and the idea that someone can slip in the country illegally, have a kid, and then be anchored here is completely taking advantage of our generosity. It costs us a lot of money, and if we are going to be a nation of laws, a nation that controls its own destiny, we've got to draw the line somewhere.
But if we are a nation of laws, Charles, then what is the prime law that we all operate under? It is the Constitution of the United States of America. In 1968, the Congress of the United States passed the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment says that the children of slaves and the children of Native American tribes and the children, if they're born in this country, according to the 14th Amendment, they are citizens. Now,
could someone argue before the Supreme Court right now that should not apply to someone who snuck in here illegally with the intent on deliberately having a child so that they would be anchored here and get advantage of all of the taxpayer dollars? And I mean, could you argue that right now?
You can argue anything you want, but you are punishing the child, the citizen of the United States, for the sins of the child's parents, which is absolutely anathema and un-American. I think that's point one. I'll give you the economic arguments as we go further down the course of this discussion. But the fact of the matter is, the United States will not abide the practical implementation of this horrifying policy. Can you imagine these families that have been here 10 years and 20 years, never committed a crime, hardworking, children doing well in school? What are they going to come into Miss Bauman's fourth grade class and say, Johnny, you can stay, Jose, you come with me? I know you were born in Harlem Hospital, but you're going back to someplace you've never been before.
Are you okay then saying keep the kid can stay here and the family's got to go back to Mexico?
I think that the whole idea of forcible deportation of law-abiding people is
broke the law to get here, Geraldo. They can't be law-abiding if the first act they committed in America was
miles
to break.
An hour on the turnpike
I didn't break that law. They broke the law.
You broke other law. Listen, I understand the argument, but if you're going to make an economic argument, I saw you had Steve Moore of the Wall Street Journal on earlier.
Yeah.
The Wall Street Journal said last week that 10% of the crops in this country are going unharvested because we have a severe labor shortage in the agricultural sector. That's a fact. Now, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that. The Congressional Budget Office says that the net to the U.S. Treasury is positive for the contributions of these people, not negative.
There are a lot of different immigrants to this country. There are a lot of different immigrants to this country. There are some, to the point made earlier in the show, in Silicon Valley, who are opening businesses and are doing amazing things. But there are also some who are an amazing drag on society. There are some who commit crimes. There are some who go to these almost 300 sanctuary cities over and over again and abuse the citizens of America. Don't we? I mean, where's your compromise in, Geraldo? Where do we compromise? Where do we find a place where we can turn this around? How can we say someone who committed an illegal act of breaking and entering into our country can never be kicked out?
Take camera 5. Look out the window. You see that out there? That's New York City out there. New York City has 500,000 undocumented immigrants. 500,000. The biggest concentration in the country. Los Angeles, the second biggest. Guess what? New York and Los Angeles experiencing record low crime. How is it that these cities, with all of these undocumented, are experiencing record low crime, and yet you try to attribute to undocumented this fake crime wave?
You're taking the crimes of an entire city and trying to say, let's extrapolate. First and foremost, I think we need to understand that the first part, coming into this country illegally, is a crime. And you can't just dismiss
it. It is the most minor federal misdemeanor.
It cannot be.
I'm just telling you what it is. I'm a lawyer. I'm telling you what the crime.
We have a country, Geraldo, that has an employment crisis. We have a country that each major city is straining to educate the youth that were born there, the Native Americans. When we have a country that is trillions of dollars in debt, I don't know how you think we could afford to keep opening up the borders and letting people stroll in.
They are offering $15, $16, $17 an hour to go pick the fruits in California. Jobs going unfilled. Why? Poultry processing. Jobs going unfilled. Meat packing. Jobs going unfilled. Toilet cleaning and all the rest of it.
That has nothing to do.
You go February,
that's a whole
2 o'clock
subject.
in the morning, who's delivering the pizzas?
Guess what?
Here.
Guess what? That means we need to go ahead and have a policy where we don't pay Native Americans, young men and women, particularly young, strong men, not to work. But that has nothing to do with justifying the illegal entry to America.
I'm not justifying.
I'm
saying you need
what about the millions that are on welfare? What about the millions that go to the school system? I'm talking about the illegals and their kids.
I gave you the report from the Congressional Budget Office on they pay Social Security benefits to fake numbers. Where does that money go? They have no help. They have no hope of ever redeeming that money that they're paying to Social Security.
$20 to $30
Can we have a compassionate approach? Are we really?
I'm asking you what it is, though.
It is that you are reasonable. You say to a family,
How?
Here it is.
You give them free college. I mean, what the heck? My son doesn't get free college.
Here's what it is. You say to the family, you've been here 10 years. You've not committed any crime. You have citizen children. You've paid every tax to these numbered accounts or these fake Social Security accounts. You know what? You can get to the end of the line. You pay a fine. You learn English. And we're going to legitimize your
Donald
status.
Trump says that he will let them go back and come back quickly, but get online. So maybe you found a compromise.
I love Donald Trump. I know him very well. We spent a lot of time together. This policy is not fitting to be uttered by Donald Trump's mouth. That's what I think.
Well, it's not only uttered, but people are picking up on it, Geraldo. And you have to admit,
I think it is
something is resonating in this country.
People are not thinking about what it is he is saying.
All right, we got to go, buddy.
All right.
Thanks a lot, Geraldo. I really appreciate it.